Hi everyone, and welcome to this month's edition of the Hot Spring County Leadership Forum's Lesson in Leadership. My name is Mason Robinson. I'm the Director of Workforce Development at Arkansas State University Three Rivers here in Malvern, and I'm with Brent Leopard, who is the General Manager at Arauco. And I'll let Brent tell you a little bit about himself here in just a moment, but just to kind of give you some insight into what we're doing. The Hot Spring County Leadership Forum, in the month of March is our Business and Industry Month, and typically what we do is we would come out here to Arauco and take a tour of their facility, go next door to Primeline, which Arauco now owns, and tour their facility because it's a great example in manufacturing of seeing raw material to finished product. And it's a great place to come and see if you ever get the opportunity to. But what we're doing since the COVID-19 and the pandemic, instead of having an in-person class this year, we are doing these videos called Lessons in Leadership. So instead of us coming out and taking a tour of Brent's facility, I thought we'd just sit down and have a conversation with him about his role here, about the Arauco and the plant here, and just kind of get some feedback and some input as to how they've handled this last year. So, Brent, if you would please, first of all, just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role here at Arauco is.
Okay, thank you, Mason. So I'm Brent Leopard, plant manager here at Arauco. Been at this site for a little over 12 years. I've been the plant manager for a year and a half now. I'm originally from Sheridan, Arkansas, and it's funny being so close to Malvern. I grew up and doing a lot of stuff, whether it's playing sports, going to the lake, different odds and ends over in this area, so very accustomed to the area and what goes on. I'm also on the Chamber, I'm a board member of the Chamber of Commerce right now, and just always love this community and the things that go on around here.
So you've been here at the facility for 12 years.
Yes.
But you've been the plant manager, you said, for now about how long?
A year and a half.
So talk about that process, about how where you started at and how you've reached the point where you are now, and kind of what do you think led to that additional responsibility being given to you?
Okay. So I actually started out here in 2008 as an electrician. My background had been an industrial electrician. At the time, started it shortly out of high school, went through apprenticeship, and worked at a factory there in Sheridan called Citria at the time. I took this job in 2008, just looking for a new opportunity. Heard a lot about this place. It was called Flakeboard at the time. But there was a lot of really good excitement about the place and what they did. So I come in 2008, worked a few months on days and went straight to shift because we do run 24/7 out here. And found out that this job was just fantastic. Loved every bit of it, right? So we worked a 3-on 3-off schedule, had a little team out here. Arauco at this site has 140 employees, but only 17 people actually run the actual mill. So on nights and weekends, it's just 17 of us out here as a team making our product. And I love that our leadership had that kind of confidence in us and allowed us to run the business, not be on top of us, trust us with the equipment and drive through it. So I did that for about 4 years, and then I took over our process control department. So I did all the PLC programming and instrumentation at the site. To get in there, I already had a pretty good background in it, and I had an interest. So taking over that position really allowed me to learn the ins and outs. I had learned what it took to be maintenance and production kind of out here running through with our shift work, but being able to sit down and program, I actually learned how the mill actually worked, the ins and outs, and what mattered as it went through. I did that for about 5 years, and then I took over as a production manager out here. As I was going through production manager, it was a short time in the position, about 3 months in, when they come to me and said they wanted me to be the next plant manager, and the guy that was the plant manager at the time was supposed to train me to get ready to retire. So he trained me for about 2 years to take over the mill, and he's been out for about 1.5 years, and I took over as plant manager at that time. So a few things that got me to that point. You know, a micro guy that does dirty jobs always says, you know, do the jobs that people don't want to do, and you'll go places other people won't be able to go. And I always felt that I did that. I've never done anything special by no means, but I didn't mind leading when people needed help or guidance in something. I wasn't trying to be a boss at the time or anything like that, but I really enjoyed seeing our team win. And the more you win, the better the team really gets together and starts trying to drive for new results. All right, so the next thing is that helped me get to there is one thing that's not easy to do, but once you do it, it becomes just part of your life. Is I never really worried about where I was personally with the plant or positions and upgrading. I was more worried about the team and where we were. So in doing that, like I said, the process control job just kind of fell in my lap, and that was fantastic. The production manager, I was happy as I could be down there, but they saw a need. It wasn't about me trying to drive to get that next job. I just was more worried about our team and what we could do out here. And in worrying about that, it just kept on offering me more and more opportunities. So I do firmly believe that being selfless brings up a lot more opportunities than somebody that's just trying after themselves. So with that mentality, I was able to just keep on going up through the ranks.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Brent. And I have to comment about your backdrop here and we're in their, they've renovated their office space, and this is a beautiful space that they have now. But I see teamwork is highlighted there at the beginning, and that's kind of what I just heard you say.
Yes.
Is that you know you believe in being a part of the team, and by being a part of that team, that's brought you to where you are today. And so, you know, looking at all these qualities that are back here on this display, what do you think? Well, first of all, let me ask you this: what leadership qualities have been important to you? And I think you just kind of answered some of that. But also, what qualities do you hope to instill in your leaders here at Arauco?
Great question. So, just like I said a minute ago, being selfless, more worried about the team than yourself is a great way. People recognize that. People gravitate toward that. If you care about the individual, you care about the team and care about the metrics, that is something that people get behind, and they see that, and they will actually follow, and they will be right there with you, and it's amazing what you're able to do as a team at that point. Another thing is Arauco really pushes this, which one thing that I really like about them is people are our #1 assets. So equipment's just equipment. It matters of who you got running it and who you got making decisions. We firmly believe in our people out here. We give them a lot of leeway to make decisions and go through, but we fully expect our teams to help us drive a better business. We're in a very, very competitive market with a renewable resource being wood, with a lot of variables in it. A lot of things can go wrong to keep you from making a good product, but if you have a very engaged team that is driving together, it's amazing how great you can actually be in this industry. Another thing is, as much as I say being selfless and working through that, you have to have a cadence of accountability. That is so key in a manufacturing environment. You have to have standards, and you have to have people that help hold those accountable. You have to understand why you can't hit your standards, and if you can't hit them, then that's fine if there's a good reason. Then it's just about going through there and finding a way that you continually hit those. So I would say being structured and accountable is very, very big as well.
Well, and I just have to say, as far as their investment in their people, we've hosted a lot of training events for them on our campus, and they really do. They invest in their people and believe in that. Now, Arauco is a rather large company. A lot of folks don't realize that it's a multinational company. And so how did communications and corporate leadership styles change within your organization of Arauco this past year during 2020?
Oh, another good question. So Arauco is very large. We are the second largest panel producer in the whole entire world when it comes to the MDF/particle board market. We're number one in North America and South America combined. We have the largest particle board mill that's built up in Grayling, Michigan, and actually this site here at Malvern, most people would know, is actually a very, very large MDF mill and a big player that covers most of the Southeast and all the way to California on selling MDF. So we're a big part of their strategy here within North America. But so a lot of things changed when this pandemic hit. I think we went through it probably the same way as most companies. When it first hit and the news was breaking of everything taking place, we were just kind of reeling for information at the time, right? How do we make a good decision? We had team members with questions. We had several questions. We're not medical experts. So together as a group, we got together and made it that what we would do is follow the CDC. A lot of companies were doing that, of course, but that's what we would do going forward. We would not deviate from anything that they said, and that at least gave us some structure around how we were going to communicate and how we were going to handle this pandemic through here. So beforehand, with us being such a large company, one thing that makes Arauco so strong is if I have a problem down here in Malvern, I can pick up the phone and have an expert up in Canada that's seen the same issue, and I can have him on a plane heading down here from one of our sister mills and have him helping us go through this issue and make sure that we get this behind us. We did a lot of intercompany traveling at the time. So every bit of that got halted. The airlines were down. We had quite a few people that was having to learn how to communicate different. We were pretty heavy on Skype at the time. We ended up flipping to Microsoft Teams because it just was more fluid for our organization and the things that we were doing. So we were able to flip a lot of our meetings to that. We went back to having a lot more phone calls at the time, just because at the beginning of it, it was just, there was so much information and so much changing so fast that the plant managers all had to be on a call, and it was 7 days a week that we had a call for about 30 minutes at 9 a.m. every morning. And it was really just to go around our mill to make sure that we were getting the support we needed and that the company could address any issues or any questions that we had from our team members. The corporate support was fantastic as we went through that. So the next part of it was, once we got to that and we were living in this and COVID wasn't going away, was, so how are we going to keep on driving to do business? One thing that we kept in everybody's face was that during these times right here, the companies that tend to drive through and do good are the ones that come out really strong on the back end. So as we kept driving through that, that's when we started picking up little things of our meetings had gotten strong on teams, but then we got to filling up everybody's schedules with team meetings and nobody was getting any work done. So we had to pull back, and we actually put limits on meetings. You can only have this many meetings unless you're the direct. That way you can make sure that you're able to talk. It really changed the game at that point from there. Another big thing that did take place was, since our travel was down and different states were going to red states, CDC had some go, but here in-house we had to make some, well, at every one of our plants, but corporate had to come in there, but vacations. Some people were still taking vacations and going out, and that's perfectly fine. Everybody's right to that, but we had to be smart about how we find out who was going where and who was going what so we could protect people. So what we did was we actually picked up a vacation package is what we did. We had a package of masks, wipes, sanitizers, all different kind of stuff. And if anybody was going on vacation, we'd say, come up and pick you up a gift bag for your family. That way you got it. And as they would come up and do it, you know, we would just kind of ask, hey, where are you going to be heading out or whatnot? And if they were going to an area that we needed to know about, then we were able to kind of monitor that situation and kind of go through it. So we were just trying to be sportive. We never pulled no information, but people were able to give that information freely then, you know. So it was definitely one heck of a learning as we went through that. On the other side of the business is we really looked at what we were doing and said, if it isn't supporting our people, if it isn't supporting safety, and it isn't adding value to a customer, do we really need it? So as we started going through that, we actually really strengthened our organization and said there was a lot of fat that we were doing that did not really come to the end of it. So we really helped our cost out quite a bit by just going through there and just being strong on what we need and what we actually don't need. And in doing that, we come through this pandemic as a very, very strong competitor right now in this market. So
it's amazing what adversity will bring us, you know, and sometimes it brings us something that's good. I mean, like you've been able to make those improvements, which we're going to wrap this up, and that was a great way to wrap it up. And I just want to close with this, Brent. Any big piece of advice that you could offer to anyone when it comes to overcoming adversity and an organizational challenge or interruptions like we've experienced this past year?
Yeah. So a couple things is stay calm. As things start happening, information will be flooded left and right. Take your information, stay calm, make good decisions. During these kind of times, people want a strong leader that's going to do good and make good decisions for them and their families. We took a lot of time and a lot of concern of making sure we communicated very, very good with our teams. I was going around the plant floor and I was meeting with every team a lot one-on-one, just talking about concerns and what's going on as questions come up or as organization changes happen. So having that good communication base was huge, staying calm through it, and at the end of it, a couple things that always helps is have a couple people you can count on. If you get in certain positions, you need a few people that you can pick up the phone to run some ideas off of. I'm fortunate enough to have a very, very good boss that is a whole lot like my demeanor, and we're able to talk through things. But I also have some ex-bosses that's retired since now that I pick up the phone and would hit them with some stuff and just say, over the years, this is what I'm dealing with. Do you have any suggestions? And I got some great input from those people, and that's the good thing is, you know, if you surround yourself with good people and have that, you will get the help you need. And it really made me successful and made this plant successful in how we actually went through this pandemic. So.
Well, that's great, and you know, having a mentor is very valuable, and communications as leaders. You know, as leaders and organizations are only as good as the communication that takes place within. So, Brent, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing us to come in and see your beautiful new facility you have here. I want to thank Rachel Bearden with Extension for being behind the camera today and recording this session. But thank you for watching this month's edition of Lessons in Leadership, and be looking for our next month's session on transportation. So thank you, and see y'all later.